Imagine waking up tomorrow to find that your bank account balance is exactly zero. Your wallet is empty, and every financial system in the world has suddenly ceased to function. What would happen? You might panic, but think beyond the immediate shock. Could the world still operate without money? How would we trade? How would we determine the value of a loaf of bread or a house? And, more importantly, why does a piece of paper or a string of numbers on a phone screen hold the power to dictate the fate of entire civilizations? Money is not gold. It is not silver. It is not a natural law like gravity or sunlight. Money is a story, a grand myth that humanity has collectively imagined and believed in for thousands of years. From the first seashells used for trade to Bitcoin, money has constantly evolved, yet its essence has always depended on one fundamental factor: collective trust. But how did an abstract idea come to dominate the destiny of billions? Will money still exist in the future? And most importantly, do we control money, or does money control us? To answer these questions, we must first go back to the beginning, where this great story first began. Money is not gold, not silver. It is trust. Imagine you are holding a $20 bill in your hand. You cannot eat it, use it as a tool, or extract intrinsic value from it like gold or silver. Yet, the moment you hand it to a faux vendor, he accepts it and serves you a steaming bowl of faux. Not because the bill has magical properties, but because he believes that others will also accept it when he needs to buy something. The truth is, money only has value as long as people collectively agree to believe in it. The story of the prisoner and cigarettes. In prisoner of war camps during World War II, inmates had no cash, yet they still needed to trade goods. What became money in that environment? Cigarettes. Those who had more cigarettes could exchange them for food, clothing, or even protection. However, if one day all prisoners decided that cigarettes were no longer valuable, even owning thousands of them would become worthless. This proves that money itself is not important. What matters is the collective agreement on its value. The Inca Empire, an economy without money. The Inca civilization, one of South America's greatest societies, had no money. No gold, no silver, no paper currency. Instead of using money, they built a collective labor system called mita, where people contributed their labor to the state in exchange for food, housing, and clothing. This may seem foreign, but modern society has similar systems. You don't directly pay to use highways or public parks, you pay taxes, and the government ensures these services are available. So, is money truly necessary? Or is it simply a tool to simplify exchanges in a more complex society? Economic events can collapse an empire. In 1519, when explorer Hernan Cortés arrived in Mexico, the Aztec Empire considered cacao beans a valuable currency. They believed in its worth so strongly that they used it to buy slaves and pay soldiers. However, when the Spanish arrived, they did not care about cacao. They only wanted gold. This completely collapsed the Aztec economy, as what they had deemed precious suddenly became worthless in the face of their conquerors. The lesson? The value of money is not fixed. It exists only as long as people believe in it. Digital money, a leap in trust. Today, 95% of the world's money does not exist in physical form. When you swipe a credit card or transfer funds via online banking, you are not physically giving money to anyone. You are merely changing numbers on a server somewhere. But what happens if one day we lose trust in this system? Remember the 2008 financial crisis when Lehman Brothers collapsed. Overnight, millions lost their savings, not because the money disappeared, but because they realized the system they had trusted for so long could collapse at any moment. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies were not created just because of blockchain technology or security advantages. They emerged because people are searching for something more reliable than the traditional banking system. Conclusion. Money is humanity's greatest fiction. Gold may shine and silver may be precious, but what truly gives money its power is not metal. It is belief. If the world stops believing in the US dollar tomorrow, it will be nothing more than a worthless piece of paper. If people start believing in a new form of currency, it will instantly gain value. So the real question is, what do you believe in? From seashells to Bitcoin, the journey of money. If a prehistoric man stepped into a modern bank and saw us exchanging numbers on a screen to buy houses, cars, or food, he would think it was magic. But the truth is, money has always been a form of magic, an imaginary tool created by humans to operate the world. Seashell money, when the ocean was the central bank. About 3,000 years ago, before coins existed, many civilizations around the world used cowrie shells as currency. They were used in ancient China, India, Africa, and even by Native Americans. The reasons were simple. They were rare and difficult to counterfeit. They were durable and didn't corrode over time. They were small and easy to carry. Cowrie shells were used as money for so long that the ancient Chinese character for money, bei, was derived from the shape of a shell. However, there was a problem. The supply of shells was uncontrollable. When Europeans arrived in Africa and discovered that cowrie shells were currency, they brought entire shiploads of them to trade for slaves and goods. The result? Africa's economy collapsed due to shell inflation. When money became too easy to obtain, it lost its value. This was the first lesson about the scarcity of money. If you can create it infinitely, it becomes worthless. Gold and silver, when precious metals built empires. After seashells, many civilizations turned to precious metals like gold and silver as money. Why? 1. They were rare. Unlike shells, they couldn't be easily produced. 2. They were divisible. A gold bar could be split into coins without losing value. 3. They had intrinsic value. Everyone believed gold was precious. But even gold was not a perfect system. Look at the Spanish Empire. In the 16th century, the Spanish conquered South America and looted tons of gold from the Aztec and Inca civilizations. They shipped massive amounts of gold back to Europe, believing they would become the richest empire in the world. But because so much gold flooded the market, its value dropped dramatically, causing gold inflation. The result? Spain became poorer instead of wealthier. Another lesson about money: it only holds value if its scarcity is maintained. Paper money, when a piece of paper could buy a kingdom. In the 13th century, explorer Marco Polo visited China and discovered something astonishing. The Chinese were using paper money instead of gold and silver. When he returned to Europe, he described it as, "The great Yuan emperor has a magical power to turn paper into gold." In reality, this was not magic. It was paper money, an invention of the Yuan dynasty, Mongol Empire. The story of paper money is fascinating. Before its invention, people traded using gold and silver, but carrying them was too heavy. The Chinese government guaranteed the value of paper money, allowing people to exchange it for gold when needed. But over time, they printed too much money without enough gold reserves. The result? Hyperinflation and economic collapse. This is similar to Germany in 1923 when the government printed excessive money to pay war debts. The outcome? A loaf of bread could go from 1 mark to 200 billion marks within months. The lesson? Money only has value if people believe it does. If trust is lost, money is just a worthless piece of paper. From the gold standard to cryptocurrency, when money becomes data. In 1971, US President Richard Nixon made a world-changing decision. He ended the gold standard. Before this, every US dollar could be exchanged for a fixed amount of gold. But after Nixon's decision, the US dollar became fiat money, meaning it had value only because the government said so. From this moment on, money became purely a collective belief, no longer tied to any physical asset. Then in 2009, something revolutionary happened. Bitcoin was born. Bitcoin, when money becomes an algorithm. Bitcoin is not backed by any government, central bank, or gold reserve. Instead, its value comes from blockchain technology, a decentralized system where no one can control or create more Bitcoin at will. Why is Bitcoin attractive? 1. It is scarce. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins, and no more can be created. 2. It cannot be counterfeited. Every transaction is recorded on the blockchain. 3. It is decentralized. No single entity controls it. Ironically, Bitcoin returns to the principles of seashell money. If people believe it has value, it does. If not, it's just a piece of computer code. Conclusion: money never stops evolving. From seashells to Bitcoin, money has gone through an extraordinary journey. But what do all forms of money have in common? It only has value if people believe in it. When trust is lost, money collapses. As technology changes, money evolves with it. So the real question is, What will money look like in 100 years? Perhaps we won't use paper money or even Bitcoin, but something entirely new, something we can't even imagine today. But one thing is certain, money will remain the greatest story ever told by humanity.